Welcome back to Effective Jack Gaming, where today we're opening up 3 packs of Crimson Vow set boosters. They're going to only have 12 cards in here, over the 15 that you normally get in the draft packs. But what you also get is you get an art card, and you have a little bit premium chance to get a little bit better stuff out of it. With that said, let's see what each pack brings us. Alright, cracking pack 1. Comes the art card. Check that bad boy out. Or I should say bad gal. That's Kaya, the Geist Hunter by Ryan Pancoast. Number 3 out of 81. Plains. Vampire Kiss. Costs 1 and a black for sorcery. Target player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Create 2 blood tokens. Blood tokens is something new that they brought in with this set. They are artifacts that cost, or you may pay 1, tap it, discard a card, sacrifice this artifact, and then we get to draw a card. A good way to loot through your deck. Blood Crazed Socialite costs 3 and a black for a vampire. It's a 3/3 body, and it has Menace or Menace. That means it could be only blocked by 2 or more creatures. So if you have 1 creature and you're trying to block it, can't happen. When it enters the battlefield, create a blood token. Whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice a blood token. If you do, it gets a +2/+2 until end of turn. Voldaren Epicure costs 1 red for a vampire. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Create a blood token. It's a 1/1 body. And then we have a Blood Fountain. It costs a black for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, create a blood token. Pay 3, a black, and sacrifice the fountain, and return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. And then we have the Bride's Gown. Costs 1 and a white for an equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0, and it gets an additional +0/+2, and has first strike as long as an equipment named Groom's Finery is attached to a creature you control. It costs 2 to equip it. That's uncommon. Here comes another uncommon. It's Wedding Security. It costs 3 and 2 black for a vampire soldier. It has a 4/4 body, and whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice a blood token. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on the security and draw a card. And then we got Infestation Expert. Costs 4 and a green for a human werewolf. When it enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1 green insect creature token. It has this little thing called Daybound. So Daybound is, once it starts, you have to keep up with Daybound and Nightbound. It only changes on the person that's being the active player. Active player is the person that it's their turn. To switch it from Daybound to Nightbound, you have to play no spells. But to switch it from Nightbound to Daybound, you have to play 2 spells. On this side, it has a body of a 3/4. Over on the other side, it becomes Infested Werewolf. It's a werewolf. It has a 4/5 body, and whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, create 2 1/1 green pest token creatures. Alorian Suitor costs a red and 2 for a vampire who has a 2/3 body. When you attack with exactly 2 creatures, transform Alorian Suitor. Over on the other side, it is Deadly Dancer. It's a vampire that's a 3/3, has trample, and when this creature transforms into Deadly Dancer, add 2 red. Until end of turn, you don't lose mana as it empties through the different phases in. You get paid 2 red, and Deadly Dancer and another target gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Ooh, we got a full art. Full art rare. At Shattered Sanctorum. Shattered Sanctorum enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Taps for a black and a white, or taps for a black or a white. And that's kind of funny because we also got a Sundown Pass. Sundown Pass enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more lands or other lands. Taps for a red or a white. And then we have a foily Stalking Killer. Costs us 3 and a black. It's a vampire assassin. That's a 4/2 body. When it enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-2 until end of the turn, if that opponent controls no other creatures. And the final card is going to be that guy. It's a good proxy to be able to play anything. Like if we're playing a draft or anything like that, we'll be able to go with that. All right. So that's pack 1. Obviously, pack 1's been the best so far, but it's also been the only pack. Let's see what we get out of pack 2. All right, coming out of pack 2, the art card. Flip it on over. Markov Waltz. Artist is Joshua Raphael. It's number 63 out of 81. Then we have a mountain. Persistent Specimen. Costs us 1 black for a skeleton. Pay 2 and a black. And we return it from our graveyard to the battlefield tapped. It's a 1/1 body. Mind Leech Ghoul costs us 1 and a black for a zombie. Has exploit. So that means when this creature enters the battlefield, we have to sacrifice another creature. When Mind Leech Ghoul exploits a creature, each opponent exiles a card from their hand. As a 2/2 body. We have a Doom Dissenter. Costs us 1 and a black for a human. It's a 1/1 body. When it dies, we get to create a 2/2 black zombie token creature. Oh man, this one's going to be a nice little guy because it's a bear. So we got the Diagraph Scavenger. Has the Poor Sword right through his head. Also can be found in Midnight Hunt. There's a couple cards, or there's a few cards that cross those over. That goes from Midnight Hunt and into Crimson Vow. Costs us 3 and a black. It's a 2/3 body. Has Death Touch. And when it enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. If it's a creature card that was exiled this way, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Drawn Heart Geist costs us 1 and a white for a Spirit Warlock. Has a 1/3 body, and whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain 2 life. It's an uncommon. Another uncommon is Fleeting Spirits. Costs us 1 and a white for a spirit that's a 3/1 body. Pay a white, exile 3 cards from your graveyard. Fleeting Spirit gains first strike until end of turn. Discard a card, exile Fleeting Spirit. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the next end step. Whoa, shenanigans there. Another uncommon is Armed Cathars. Costs us 1 and 2 white. It's a sorcery. Until end of turn, target creature gets +3/+3. and up to one other target creature gets +2/+2, and the other one gets +1/+1. Those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn. We have a Weaver of the Blossoms. Costs 2 and a green for a human werewolf. Has a 2/3 body. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. It has Daybound, which we know what that is doing. But over on the other side, it becomes a Blossom Clawed Werewolf. Tap, add 2 mana of any one color. Has a 3/4 body. Blood Puddle Celibate. Costs 1 and a red for a vampire. And it has first strike as long as it's attacking. When it dies, we get to create a blood token. And then the rare is Alchemist Gambit. Costs 1 and 2 red for a sorcery. It has Cleave, which is something unique because we could cast it for its Cleave cost. If we do, we remove the keywords that's in the square or brackets. So the Cleave cost is 4, a blue, and a red. Take an extra turn after this one. During that turn, damage can't be prevented. And now here's the stuff that's at the brackets. At the beginning of the turn's end step, you lose the game. Exile Alchemist Gambit. Woo, buddy. You want to make sure you end up paying that cost. Kind of an interesting extra turn spell. And then our foil is the Fleeting Spirit. And the last card that's in the pack is the Magic Mini Game. It's a 1-player game and it's the Monster of the Week. 1 player, 1 pack, and it takes 5 minutes. We'll end up possibly trying that sometime. Breaking it all down. We'll see how that ends up working out. Set that down for our special project. All right. So that was pack 2. For me, I would say still pack 1 is winning because pack 2 kind of seemed it had a little flavor, but it's always about that mana base. You want to be able to always cast those spells. So we gotta end up having some kind of gas coming out of here. So we'll open up the 3rd and final pack. All right. Coming out of the gate with the art card. Boom. Oh, that's some neat art. Dread Furig is Ruby Cali. Is number 31 out of 81. It's an island. First card is Syncopate. Costs X and a blue for an instant. Counter a target spell unless its controller pays X. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead. Exile instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. So whatever you put in X is however much extra that they have to pay. Serpentine Ambush costs 1 and a blue for an instant. Until end of turn, target creature becomes a blue serpent with a base power and toughness of a 5/5. Dreadlight Monstrosity costs 4 and 2 blue. It's a crab horror. Has ward 2. Which ward is that you have to pay 2 to be able to target it. And then it has 3 and 2 blue. And then it can't be blocked this turn. Activate this ability only if you own a card in exile. It's a 5/5 body. Skywarp Scab costs 3 and a 2 blue. For a zombie drake, does a 2/5 body, flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you may exile 2 creature cards from your graveyard. If you do, draw a card. first uncommon is Fleeting Spirit. Man, 3 of them of the last couple times. Holy smokes. And then we also have Arm the Cathars, which we went over that guy already. Bloodsworn Squire costs 3 and a black for a Vampire War Soldier. It's a 3/3 body. Pay 1 and a black. Discard a card. And then it gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it. And then if there are 4 or more creatures in your graveyard, transform the Bloodsworn Squire. Flip it on over. Becomes the Bloodsworn Knight. It's a Vampire Knight now. It has a star. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of creatures in your graveyard. Black and 1, discard a card, and it gains indestructible until end of turn. And then we tap it. Interesting. It's a little bit different. Markov Waltz costs 2, a red, and a white for a vampire. Flying, haste at the beginning of combat on your turn. Up to 2 target creatures you control each get +1/+0 until end of turn. It's a 1/3 body. Belligerent Guest costs 2 and a red for a vampire. Has trample. And when it deals combat damage to a player, create a blood token. And then we have Valdarkin Bloodcaster. Costs 1, a black for a vampire or wizard. Has a 2/1 body. And whenever it or another non-token creature you control dies, create a blood token. Whenever you create a blood token, if you control 5 or more blood tokens, transform Valdarkin Bloodcaster. She becomes Bloodbat Summoner. It's a vampire wizard still, has a 3/3 body, flying, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 target blood token you control becomes a 2/2 black bat creature token with flying. It has haste in additional to its other types. And then we have the foil, Lantern Bearer. Causes 1 blue for a spirit, that's a 1/1, flying, and then it has a disturb cost of 2 and a blue. Disturbs means we could play it from our graveyard for that cost. And over on the other side, this is what we get if we play it from our graveyard. It's Lantern's Lift. It's an enchantment. Enchanted creature gets a +1/+1 and has flying. And then if it would be put into graveyard from anywhere, we exile it instead. And the final card's a list. So before I show it to you, a card that's on the list is something that's going to be reprinted. That's going to be limited to whatever's over there. I believe that there's either 50 to 100 or something like that of cards that end up being on the list. This one is Knowledge Pool. Costs 6. It's an artifact. It has imprint. When it enters the battlefield, each player exiles the top 3 cards of his or her library. Whenever a player casts a spell from his or her hand, that player exiles it. If that player does, he or she may cast another non-land card exiled with Knowledge Pool without paying its mana cost. Whew. Talking about something that'd be topsy and turvy. So if I had to pick out the packs and everything, I would say pack 2 or pack 1 would have it. Because I love the lands and the mana base that would end up helping out. That, and plus that 4 kind of helped out with everything else. What did you think of it? Let us know down in the comments down below. If you're liking the content that we're putting out, like, subscribe, and hit that little bell icon to be notified about any of our future content. Thank you for watching, and until next time, we'll see you later.